Hi, my name is Robert Sneed. This week I got with a few media students to talk about the new Disney live action films that are coming out within the next few years. But I got one question for them, and I was wanting to get their opinions and see what their story is going to be about. And so let's see what they got for an answer for them.
Hi, I'm Noah Stiles, and here's what I think's going to happen in Genie, the new prequel to Aladdin. Well, it is live action, so that suggests it's going to be a grittier reboot. You look at the Genie from the first movie, you got him played by Robin Williams, normally known for his fun stuff, but look at World's Greatest Dad. He's capable of going dark. I think the crew's going to be inspired by that. If you read the mythology, Jinn are actually genies rather, are actually very, sad, sort of tragic figures. So I think it's going to sort of become a prequel about his life, how he gets trapped in the bottle, how he gets conscripted into granting wishes, and really it's just that's going to be his family story. I think we're going to find out more about him than we'd otherwise would have, and I think a lot of it's going to be surprisingly sad. I think he's going to have a daughter who's either kidnapped or dead. I think a huge portion of the movie will take place in Upper Eurasia, just because of the scenery, especially considering it's live action. And I think the secret twist is the character we follow will have been dead the whole time. He's already a genie, doesn't know he's granting a wish. It's wish fulfillment for his daughter. And that's what I think this prequel to Aladdin will be.
I'm hoping they follow the original plot. But let's say they do what they usually do and they make it really dark. Like they just... But this time, they're flipping the whole script. They're Disney, so they're like, we don't care if we get, we don't need people watching our movies, we got money, we got freaking Disney World and Disneyland, we're making money. So they're flipping the script now. This is my theory, so you probably won't like it, but they're flipping the script now, okay? Now, so you have, it starts out regular. Circle of Life song coming on, they have to start it off like that. If they don't do it, it's not, I'm walking out of the theater right then and there. Also, they don't do the Hakuna Matata, I'm walking out of the theater. So if they start off with that, I'm like, oh, this is good. And then go off. But then there's no Hakuna Matata, it's when I'm walking out. I need to sing along too. So, but they're flipping the script. So, everything goes through, it's alright, you see sun, you see everything over here. The light, whatever the light touches is ours. You see that little shadow place, you don't go there. He goes there, everything bad happens, okay? And then we have the Be Prepared song that comes on, which is probably not a Be Prepared song, should be probably them telling them to be prepared. So, but that all happens. Now comes the stampede part, but everything goes wrong on Mufasa's side, but not on Mufasa's side. My brain's messing up. I have the theory put out. So, but on Scar's side, so Scar has this whole plan, but Mufasa has the plan changed. So Mufasa figures out what Scar's doing, right? Mufasa figures out, oh, he's trying to kill me so he can take the crown. It's something he does, and so he goes. He tells Simba, he lets everything go the way it's supposed to be planned, but in the time, what he does is instead of him being thrown down, he grabs Scar and throws Scar down the stampede. And then Simba doesn't see this. So Simba just sees his dad, is like, whoa, my dad's alright. And then we go through, and they go through as if everything's right. But slowly Mufasa, his brain's being eaten away because he just killed his brother. Even if he killed his brother for the good, he still killed his brother. So he's basically, his mind's going like, oh my gosh, what did I do, oh my gosh, what did I do? Right? This changes Mufasa forever. Mufasa's slowly turning into Scar. So the transition is happening. So, but Mufasa, as he transitions into Scar, you see his hair starts to turn black, and then he goes over there and he fights the hyenas to gain right over the hyenas, like Scar had. So he goes there, fights them, and he gains right over the hyenas. But of course he gets the scar. And now the only person who knows that Mufasa is Scar is Simba. But Mufasa, as Scar, scares Simba out so that he can't tell anybody. Before he can tell anybody, he scares him out. Right? So Simba is off, and Simba gets thrown into that briar patch that he runs into in the movie. But he gets thrown in there, so that as he limps out of the briar patch into the dead wasteland, gets found by gets found by Timon and Pumbaa, and all that happens. So all that's regular. There's a lot of parts that are going to be regular, but back at home, nothing's regular. Like, they don't know it's Mufasa, but Mufasa's over there abusing everybody. Mufasa's threatening people. Mufasa's doing all this bad stuff, right? So then Nala goes back. So then Nala has to go out and hunt like usual. All of that stuff happens. Love scene. He tells him, you need to get back. Scar's taking over. And Mufasa, and then, not Mufasa, but Simba's like, no, it's not Scar, it's my dad. And he tells her that, and she's like, oh, what? And so they run back. And then, of course, Timon and Pumbaa, running after him like usual, and then they do their own thing, and it's about that big battle, this thing. But then Simba stands up and says, that's not Scar, that's my dad, Mufasa. Everyone's like, oh, what? And then like he goes, no, you just did it. And I start fighting. They're fighting. It's intense. Everybody's like, you're tearing up. She's like, oh my God, it's the fight against father and son. But then Simba of course comes out on top because it's a Disney movie. They have to win, killing his father. Now, and then here goes the opening for the sequel, because we know we're going to have a sequel. Opening for a sequel is now Simba has that on his mind that he just killed his own father, even if it's basically the same thing. Cycle goes back. It's a cycle. Mufasa kills his brother. Now, of course, Mufasa, of course, being the good guy he is, it would eat at him. Same thing with Simba. He just killed his father. Now that eats at him. So now, next one, what is Simba going to do with that on his mind? How does everybody think of him for killing his father? We don't know. See.
I think that the live-action Sword in the Stone movie, they have some real potential that they could really work with. In the original animated film, they basically took it from the perspective of Arthur growing up and him being the weakling, the David and Goliath sort of deal. But I think with this one, it's called Sword in the Stone. I don't know if that's what the new one's going to be, but I think that they have the opportunity to tell it from the perspective of, I guess, either the sword. I know this sounds kind of weird, but the sword itself, being taken out of the stone, being used for warfare, and being it's Excalibur. There's actually multiple different stories of Excalibur. There's the lady in the lake who gives the sword to who basically Arthur goes to and becomes King Arthur by hoisting the sword out of the lake. I guess they can't really do that, but I'd be interested in seeing if they could. Possibly, because there's the Sword in the Stone story, there's the Sword in the Lake story, and I just think that there's some stuff they could do with that.
My name is David Harrell, and I am going to talk about the Mulan remake that is coming out soon. The remake is going to be a live-action movie, and there's not a lot of information about it yet, but Disney believes that with the recent success of Jungle Book and other live-action remakes of a lot of kids classics, that the Mulan remake will be a success as well. And even though Mulan originally was not a very big moneymaker, they think that this will kind of ride the wave of other remakes that have been so popular recently. The remake, there's as far as the story goes, Disney's kind of leaving it up to interpretation for the director. I know they're of course they're going to try to base it off the source material, but how much they deviate really depends. With the new Jungle Book, they kind of deviated pretty far from the actual story, and it was very much its own thing, I would say. And then with Mulan, they are trying to get an all Asian cast to keep to the story, which makes sense also for a live action film. And as far as the director goes and actors, they really don't have anybody locked in as far as we know, but the project has been greenlit and is set for 2018, so I imagine they have some people in mind and they just have not mentioned yet, or it hasn't been information released yet, but the project is set to be done by 2018, so we'll be seeing it then.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Evertsen, and I believe that when Disney makes a live-action adaptation of Winnie the Pooh, it might just be the single greatest version of Winnie the Pooh ever made. It may even rival that of Alice in Wonderland, except instead of Alice being a girl, she's a boy named Christopher Robin. I think that's his name. Is it Christopher Robin? Or is it Reed? No, Christopher Reed. That's a different guy. That's from Game of Thrones. I'm not sure. Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin's the one with the Winnie the Pooh kid, right? I think so. Okay. So, I believe that Winnie the Pooh will be depicted as a fuzzy, semi-yellow, kind of brownish bear wearing a random red shirt. Being tortured by semi-psychopath bunny rabbits that are trying only to protect their precious carrot fields as if they're Gollum from Lord of the Rings, and followed by a fan-crazed piglet-looking idiot that just is a super fangirl of Winnie the Pooh, and Winnie the Pooh's this big pimp of the jungle kind of thing going on, and then you have the manic depressive Eeyore donkey looking fellow. I don't know. That's a super realistic dark version that I think Disney could do, but they'll probably just do a nice Toy Story version of Christopher Robin's toys all coming to life in this, I don't know, Mr. Roberts. Is it Mr. Roberts that did the thing with the train and the trolley? Mr. Roberts? You don't remember that TV show? You don't remember that TV show? I don't remember that TV show. But Winnie the Pooh. Live action. Can't wait. Christopher Robin's toys coming alive. Toy Story / Winnie the Pooh edition. Epic. Must see. I'm probably not going to see it. Thank you.
My name is Alex Griffith, and I'm going to be talking about the live-action Peter Pan movie coming up. I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be a really, really good one, and I think it's going to stick in with the themes that started with the 1953 classic, and the themes being, being a kid. That's kind of what Peter Pan embodies, and all of the Lost Boys and Wendy and Michael and I don't remember the other one's name, but that's okay. John was his name. I really feel like it's, they kind of embody childhood and adventure and fun. I'm really excited to see who they have casted. I honestly think that Johnny Depp would make a good Captain Hook. That's just my opinion, though. He's just... I could see someone like him fitting in with that role. It'd be a really, really interesting character choice. So yeah, and I really feel like it's gonna... I don't think it's gonna follow the story of the original 53 classic, just because a lot of them that have come before this one coming up haven't. They all have kind of their own plot line. They still have the same basic storyline. Peter comes into the window with Wendy and John and Michael. He takes them off to Neverland, and they fight Captain Hook and all that stuff. But they always, and there's the alligator, of course, the ticking crocodile, alligator, whatever it is. And they always have that, but they always have their own little differences with each of the different versions of the story. Like for Hook, for example, Hook was Peter years and years after Neverland, and it is, the whole story is really about him going back to Neverland and refinding his childhood. And it really made for a very interesting story, and I think that this live action coming up is going to be a very, very good story.
Hey everybody, my name is Clint Blevins, and today I'm going to be talking about the new live action Pinocchio they're coming out with. And this is something I am super pumped for, because as a kid, Pinocchio was like, man, it was just like the greatest movie to me. I love that movie. It was one of the 5 movies I watched as a kid. And so when I found out that they were coming out with a new one, I just lost it. I cannot wait to see this. This is definitely on the list. But basically, when it comes to the story, I really hope that they can keep it this as close to the same as they can. I know they're going to have to switch it up a little bit, but the original story about the one with the classic, I mean, it's it's just unparalleled. Like, to me, it's the reason the movie's any good. It's not like the graphics or anything are amazing. It's just the fact that the story is so, like, it's so to the heart, it's so to the point, it's like, it's just so pure. So that's why I like the original, but at the same time, like, they remade The Jungle Book into a live action movie, and it was a lot more realistic, a lot more dark. I just hope that they can throw in an element of that, because basically everybody who watched it is grown up now. Like, whoever watched the classic, they're grown up now. So they know about how dark life is and how, like, not everything is perfect. So maybe they can throw in that realistic opinion. And also, Robert Downey Jr. is playing Geppetto, and I love Robert Downey Jr. Like, everything he does, it doesn't matter what it is, U.S. Marshals, Iron Man, it doesn't matter what he is, he kills it. So I am super pumped to see him in it. But basically, I have high hopes for it, and I know that they can pull it off as long as they just get all their crap together, and I'm sure it'll be great.
Hi, I'm Patrick, and I'll be talking about the live-action Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which will be coming out pretty soon. I believe next year, or it could be 2 years from now. It's not a whole lot of information on it, but it seems like it could be interesting. I haven't actually seen any of the live action takes on Disney films so far, except for Maleficent, and I wasn't really impressed. But I heard Cinderella was good, and I think Snow White could be good. The only thing I've heard about it so far, or I read about it on the internet, was apparently they'll be focusing a lot on Snow White's sister, and it's going to be a lot of focus on her, Rose Red, and but they're still calling it Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which I find kind of strange, but that could definitely be good. I mean, because there hasn't been really anything about Rose Red. She's apparently a huge character in Grimm stories, the Brothers Grimm, but she hasn't really got a whole lot of attention, so I think that would be very interesting. I just wish they would, I don't know, call it Rose Red. But, yeah. Oh, yeah. Who would be a good Snow White? Well, I heard Emma Watson is going to be Beauty in the upcoming Beauty and the Beast movie. I think that's a pretty good choice. I don't know. She's beautiful, so it fits. For Snow White, all I'll really have to go by, I haven't actually read the original Brothers Grimm Snow White story. I've seen the original 1937 Snow White Disney movie. She didn't really have a whole lot of personality, so it's hard to really, I mean, she was more, all the personality belonged with the dwarves in the original movie. Like, obviously they were all, like, named after some kind of trait, grumpy, dopey and all that. Snow White herself really didn't project a lot of emotion, and that's fine. Like, she was more like a tool for the to help the dwarves, like a stepping stone for the dwarves in the movie to have a personality. Yeah, I guess anybody would really work for Snow White. Because I'm not sure. I'm sure they'll do something with her differently than the 1937 Snow White. They'll actually try to give her some personality. I don't really know what direction they'll be going though, because I don't really know a whole lot about Snow White as a person, and neither does anyone else. So I feel like there will be a lot of room for creativity. So it could turn out like, who knows? The tone of the movie could be very dark or very bright. It could be a musical for all we know. I think it's one of the few upcoming Disney movies that actually have a lot of potential, because there's a lot of room for creativity, I think. That's my 2 cents.
So, I've been tasked with talking about how Fantasia's Night on Bald Mountain would be as a live action. My main question is, how exactly? I mean, like, I vaguely remember seeing it on the Fantasia VHS, and that was rented, but I went ahead and looked back on it for 5 minutes before this thing, so... And I have no clue how they're gonna make this into a full-fledged movie. I mean, like, if it's a live-action short, then that might work, but there's, like, little to no plot about this. I mean, it's just like, if you look back on it, there's this mountain, right? And then suddenly, bam, some sort of demon lord, a bunch of ghosts and ghouls and all sorts of creatures. I have no clue how they're gonna make this a live-action movie. They'll have to introduce a lot of characters and just build around the whole basis, but it will be a lot added. Well, that's pretty much what I have to say on this matter, but only time will tell if anything critical will be added to this.
I am Sarah Trew. I am a media technology student at Chattanooga State. Today I am going to talk to you about the live-action film The Little Mermaid that will be remade in 2017. The Little Mermaid is a fantasy romance movie about a young woman that's a mermaid in the ocean that longs to be on land, and then one day she sees a ship and she rescues her Prince Charming that is shipwrecked, brought him on land, and then she makes this deal with the sea witch and she loses her voice, but the original she loses her tongue. So I am really interested to see how this all turns out. Then she gets her wish and she goes on land, and with the intention of marrying the prince so that she can live happily ever after. But instead, the witch screws it all up and says she has to kill him or die. And so she loves him so much she did not kill him, but she dissolved in the sea foam instead. Well, I am really interested to see how this movie goes in the live action. Chloe Grace Moretz was supposed to be playing Ariel. There is some distinction between that because there is a lot of people that they're trying to decide from. And yeah, the movie's going to be great.
Hi, my name's Jessica Gann. I'm a student here at Chat State, and I'm talking to you today about the new live-action Disney movie, Mary Poppins Returns. I think they're aiming for a release date of 2018, at least that's what I last heard. I was really skeptical when this was first brought to my attention that they were making a new Mary Poppins movie, because I grew up watching the original one with Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke and all of them, and I loved it. I thought it was a wonderful movie. I loved the music and all. It's one of my treasured memories from childhood. So when I found out Disney was doing another live-action Mary Poppins, I was really concerned, because I'm not always positive when people take what I consider classics or great stories and decides to retell them. But after doing a little bit of research, I found out maybe it won't be too bad, because it's not going to be a retelling of the same story from the original movie. It's going to be set 20 years later, so it's a sequel. And I think that it could go into a really interesting direction, with the grown-up Michael and Jane from the first one, and with Michael's own children. So I think they're kind of basing it on some of the other Mary Poppins books. Maybe not on any particular story, but maybe taking elements from the different books and combining them. So I know Emily Blunt, I think, is supposed to play Mary Poppins, and they have some really other interesting actors, I think, that will make great additions to the film. And so I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think as long as they keep it, an original story and not trying to retell something else, that it could be interesting. I hope I hope they do a great job and with the story. And so I can't wait for 2018 to see Mary Poppins Returns.
Thank you, everybody. Those were some really great answers. Hopefully, whenever they come out, they'll answer our questions of what we think of what it's going to be. So, stay tuned for next time when we come back from doing from Christmas break. Bye.